The world is watching with tense eyes as a new storm brews on the borders of Eastern Europe. What happens when two countries with a long history of military coordination suddenly unleash their most ambitious joint drill in years, under the shadow of war, political instability, and a fragile global balance? This is not just an exercise, it is a message, a warning, and perhaps a rehearsal for something much larger. Zapad 2025 has arrived, and it is already sparking alarms across NATO, the European Union, and beyond. Hello everyone, welcome back to the World Conflict Monitor channel. Please subscribe to my channel for more deep dive explanations into the biggest global events shaping our world today. In simple terms, here's the story. Russia and Belarus have launched their Zapad 2025 military drill, one of the largest joint exercises in their history, taking place in September 2025. The scale is massive, involving tens of thousands of troops, modern weaponry, and simulated scenarios that look eerily similar to potential real-world conflicts with NATO. The West views this drill not just as routine training but as a deliberate signal of aggression, a red alert conflict rehearsal that could hint at Moscow and Minsk's next moves in the already tense Russia-Ukraine war and the wider standoff with Europe. NATO has responded with heightened readiness, rapid alert forces, and emergency meetings. The Zapad drill, traditionally held every 4 years, is now taking place under extraordinary circumstances where every move is being dissected as if it were the opening chapter of a much larger conflict. On the exterior, Zapad 2025 is designed to look like a grand demonstration of unity and strength. Russian and Belarusian state media are showcasing massive convoys of tanks, armored vehicles, missile systems, and aircraft lined up across wide training fields. The exterior view is overwhelming in scale: columns of soldiers marching in perfect synchronization, endless rows of artillery guns stationed along fortified positions, and skies filled with helicopters hovering in formation. To the outside observer, this is meant to create an image of power that cannot be ignored. The message is clear: together, Moscow and Minsk can mobilize forces quickly and efficiently, presenting themselves as a regional military powerhouse that rivals NATO's own drills and deployments. The geographical exterior of Zapad 2025 is also carefully chosen. Training grounds along the Belarusian-Polish border, near Lithuania, and deep into western Russia all serve a dual purpose. On the surface, these are designated areas for exercises, but strategically, they send a signal of proximity. NATO members bordering Belarus, Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia are suddenly faced with tens of thousands of Russian and Belarusian troops right across their frontiers. The visual of tanks and soldiers staged so close to NATO borders is itself an exterior symbol of intimidation, a reminder that geography itself can be weaponized. This exterior presentation of the drill leaves no ambiguity. It is both a training maneuver and a show of force aimed at projecting military readiness. Moving briefly into the interior, we see a different picture. Inside the command structures of Zapad 2025, the exercise is not only about spectacle but about testing real operational coordination. Russian generals and Belarusian commanders are working together in joint headquarters, sharing data, synchronizing communications, and conducting war-gaming scenarios that simulate defending against a NATO incursion or launching counter-offensives. The interior structure reveals the deepening military integration between Moscow and Minsk. Belarus is no longer just a junior partner providing territory, its officers are being integrated into Russian command systems, its air defense grids are being linked, and its military logistics are being reshaped to serve joint missions. The interior also shows how much this drill is designed to prepare for hybrid warfare, cyber attacks, information control, electronic jamming, and rapid mobility strategies. Short, sharp rehearsals inside the Zapad framework are less about ceremonial parades and more about simulating modern war conditions. This is where the real value of Zapad lies: training both nations' militaries not just to fight old-fashioned battles, but to confront 21st-century threats with speed and coordination. The interior operations may be brief and technical, but they represent the sharp edge of what Russia and Belarus want to prove, that they can fight as one, seamlessly and effectively. The performance of Zapad 2025 is not measured only by the number of tanks rolling across fields or the roar of fighter jets breaking the skies, but by the message it conveys and the efficiency with which it is executed. At its core, performance in a military exercise is about readiness, speed, adaptability, and deterrence. For Russia and Belarus, this drill is a test of how quickly forces can be mobilized, how effectively they can be deployed, and how convincingly they can demonstrate unity in the face of external pressure. The results so far have left little doubt that the two nations are showcasing a level of military synchronization that the West cannot afford to ignore. From the battlefield perspective, performance is displayed in mobility. Russian armored divisions have been moving with remarkable speed, setting up positions in record time and simulating both defensive and offensive maneuvers. Tanks and infantry fighting vehicles are not only rolling out in sheer numbers but also coordinating with air units and missile forces in real time. The ability to switch from defense to offense within hours is a key metric of modern warfare, and Zapad 2025 has demonstrated that both Moscow and Minsk are investing heavily in this capability. This kind of flexibility is designed to keep NATO guessing, forcing Western strategists to prepare for multiple scenarios instead of one predictable outcome. Another aspect of performance lies in the coordination of different branches of the military. In Zapad 2025, air defense systems such as the S-400s and Belarusian Tor-M2 units are being integrated into a single shield, creating layers of protection against potential aerial threats. Meanwhile, electronic warfare units are jamming simulated enemy communications, blinding drones, and interfering with GPS signals. The combination of heavy armor, air dominance, and electronic disruption creates a powerful impression that Russia and Belarus are rehearsing for a war environment where multiple domains, land, air, cyber, are active at once. This is not just a show for cameras, it is a live demonstration of complex multi-domain warfare. The performance of Zapad 2025 also extends into logistics. Moving tens of thousands of troops across regions requires flawless planning, rapid supply chains, and secure transport systems. The ability to feed, equip, and fuel such a vast military presence over weeks of exercises shows that Russia and Belarus have refined their logistical backbone. This is a message as important as any battlefield maneuver. It demonstrates that they can sustain a prolonged conflict, not just launch a quick strike. NATO analysts are closely watching the logistical performance because wars are not only won by firepower but also by the capacity to keep forces supplied and reinforced. On the political front, performance is about symbolism and perception. Zapad 2025 is performing a dual role, boosting domestic morale while sending a threatening signal abroad. In Russia, state television presents the drill as proof that Moscow is not isolated, that despite Western sanctions and the costs of war in Ukraine, Russia still commands powerful allies and formidable strength. For Belarus, the performance is about proving loyalty to Moscow while simultaneously warning NATO neighbors that Minsk is not a passive bystander but an active military partner in the regional balance. The performance here is theatrical as much as it is practical, soldiers drilling in front of cameras, leaders reviewing troops, and media broadcasting carefully crafted narratives. Performance is also tested by the reaction of adversaries. NATO's alarm is itself a metric of success for Russia and Belarus. If the exercise forces Western leaders to call emergency meetings, deploy additional troops to Eastern Europe, or adjust military strategies, then Zapad has performed its strategic role. Military drills of this scale are meant to provoke, to shape adversary behavior, and to ensure that Russia and Belarus remain central to Europe's security calculations. In this sense, The very fact that NATO is on edge, that news outlets across the world are covering Zapad 2025 as a red alert conflict scenario, proves that the exercise has succeeded in its performance goals. The performance of weapon systems during Zapad 2025 is another critical dimension. Russian hypersonic missiles, drones, and advanced aircraft are being tested under simulated war conditions. Belarus has also showcased its upgraded air defense networks and domestically produced military technology. Each successful launch, interception, or strike simulation becomes a data point, not just for propaganda, but for refining actual military doctrine. Performance here is not about fireworks but about learning, testing how systems work together, how they hold up under pressure, and where improvements are needed before real combat situations. Finally, performance is about psychological impact. The images of massive troop movements, the sounds of artillery thunder, the sight of missile launches, all of these are meant to create an atmosphere of inevitability, a reminder that Russia and Belarus are prepared to fight if provoked. For populations in NATO countries bordering Belarus, the performance of Zapad 2025 creates anxiety and fear. For audiences inside Russia and Belarus, it inspires pride and confidence. For global viewers, it reinforces the idea that Europe remains a theater of potential escalation. In all these ways, the performance of Zapad 2025 goes beyond the battlefield and enters the realm of psychological warfare, where perception can be as decisive as firepower.